It was the crispness of the receipt that felt wrong. Clara found it in the pocket of her husband David's work jeans, a rigid rectangle folded in half. He usually left a trail of soft, forgotten tissues, but this des felt important. She unfolded it. The logo at the top was for Willow Creek Memorial Services. Her blood didn't just run cold, it evaporated. Below the date, stamped only yesterday, was a single-line item. It read 1 infant casket pine, standard. She read it again, and again. Infant. They didn't have an infant. They had never lost an infant. Their only son, Tom, was 22 and in college. This receipt was an impossibility, a glitch in her reality, and it was sitting in her laundry room, smelling faintly of David's sawdust and soap scent. Her first thought was a grotesque mistake. They billed him for the wrong thing. Her second thought, darker and faster, was a secret. A secret child. A child who had lived and died without her ever knowing. She stumbled to the kitchen table, the receipt clutched in her hand. David. Her David. The man who fixed the squeaky back door, the man who held her hand during movies, the man who whistled off-key every morning. It wasn't possible. She spent the next 3 hours in a silent panic, waiting for him to come home from the construction site. Every creak of the house was an accusation. When his truck finally pulled into the driveway, she felt sick. He walked in, smiling, kissing her on the cheek. Long day, he sighed, heading for the fridge. Smells good. What's for ... What is this, David? Her voice was a dry rasp. She held out the receipt. He froze, his hand on the refrigerator door. He looked at the paper, and all the color, all the life drained from his face. He didn't look guilty. He looked ... broken. Clara, he whispered. Please sit down. I don't want to sit down. I want to know why my husband is buying a baby's coffin. He finally met her eyes, and his were filled with a shame so deep it terrified her. It's not ... It's not what you think, he stammered. It's for my brother, his brother Mark, the black sheep. The one who drifted in and out of their lives for 2 decades. Always needing money, always in trouble. Mark? Clara asked, confused. He and his girlfriend, they had a baby a month ago. A boy, David said, his voice thick. He was born sick, Clara. Real sick. He ... He didn't make it. He died 2 days ago. He sat down heavily. They have nothing. They can't even bury him. I bought it. I paid for it. I didn't want him to have to ... Just ... Put his son in the ground in a box. The story was horrifying, tragic. And in an instant, Clara's terror shifted to overwhelming, crushing guilt. She had accused him of betrayal when he was performing an act of profound, secret charity. She knelt by his chair, taking his hand. Oh, David. Oh my God, why didn't you tell me? Shame, he whispered. Shame from Mark. Ashamed to ask you for the money. I was just ... Handling it. It made sense. It made perfect, awful sense. For the next 2 days, the house was quiet, wrapped in this shared sadness. But something small, a tiny splinter, began to bother Clara. David said he had to go to the bank, then to Mark's apartment to give him the rest of the cash for the service. But when he came back, he seemed ... distant. Not just sad, distant. On Wednesday, she decided to do something. She would go to Mark's. She would bring food. She would bring a card with money. She looked up the address David had once written down for his brother. It was on the other side of town, a rundown apartment block. She drove there, a heavy casserole on her passenger seat. She found the building. She found the apartment, 3B. She knocked. A young woman with tired eyes and a vape pen in her hand opened the door. Yeah? Hi, Clara said gently. I'm a friend of the family. I'm looking for Mark. I just ... I wanted to offer my condolences. The woman stared at her. Condolences? For what? For your loss, Clara stammered. Your baby ... double quotes. The woman barked a short, harsh laugh. Baby? What baby? We ain't got no baby. And Mark ain't even here. He skipped town 3 weeks ago. Owes me rent. Clara's casserole suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. The woman's words hung in the air, sharp and cold. She lied. He lied. The story about Mark, the girlfriend, the sick child. All of it. It was a lie. She drove home in a complete daze. The terror was back, but it was colder now. This wasn't a secret tragedy. This was a calculated deception. He had crafted a perfect heartbreaking story to cover ... What? She got home. He was there, cleaning his tools in the garage. She walked straight up to him. He skipped town, David, 3 weeks ago. There is no dead baby. David dropped the wrench. It hit the concrete with a loud clang. His face didn't just go pale, it crumpled. He finally truly broke. I didn't know what else to say, he wept, sinking to the floor. I couldn't tell you the truth. Try me, Clara said, her voice shaking with a cold fury. Do you remember? He whispered, wiping his face with a greasy rag. Do you remember I told you my little sister Diana died when she was 7? Before I met you, from pneumonia? Yes, Clara said. I remember. I told you she was buried in our family plot back home. That was the lie. We didn't have a plot. We had nothing. My parents, they just signed her over. She was buried in the municipal field, a pauper's grave. No stone. Not even a box, Clara. They told me she was just put in the ground. I've had that picture in my head for 40 years. He was shaking. I finally got that promotion. I had the money. I found the records. I found her. I had her exhumed. I bought her a coffin, a real one. The one she should have had. He looked up, his face wrecked with an old grief. The funeral home listed it as infant because she was so small. I didn't tell you because I was I was so ashamed. Ashamed of my family. Ashamed that it took me this long to give her a name. Clara stood in the doorway of the garage, the setting sun casting a long shadow across the floor. The receipt. The lies. The brother. It wasn't about a betrayal. It was about a promise. A 40-year-old promise from a heartbroken little boy to his lost sister. She crossed the garage, sat on the concrete floor in front of her husband, and for the first time since she'd found the receipt, she reached out and took his hand. Okay, she whispered, her own tears finally falling. Okay, where is she now?